I could be the one that takes you there. Yeah. It's Virgo season. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for being here. Today, we are going to go through the transits that are happening in August of 2024. If you are new here, welcome. Just a couple little tidbits. I go over the most important transits that I feel are happening in August for business owners. So I'm definitely going to talk about all of the planetary ingresses. That means when they move into a different sign. Definitely going to talk about any full or new moons. Definitely going to talk about any outer planet aspects that are happening. And then I will throw in a couple of inner planet transits that I think are really going to impact business owners. This month, I'm also adding in a little section at the end called Yummy, Spicy, and Dynamic Days, so that if you're using this video to help plan your month, you can go through and see what days are more juicy and lovely and what days might bring a bit more spice and challenges. So if you have any space to be planning around these days, if you're planning an event and you have a lot of flexibility, this could come in as a handy tool. I will always have the transits posted in the description, so if you want to skip ahead to that and just see that and plan for your month, that's always there. And one more note is that even with the yummy, spicy, and dynamic days adding on, which gives a taste of a few more transits happening this month, it's still not all the transits happening this month, because every month there's a lot of transits happening. So if you're looking for a resource that tells you every single transit happening during the month, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Every Monday is where I post an overview of all the transits happening for that week with a nice description to go with it. I also post these to my stories on Instagram each day. So let's talk about August. So August is a month that I don't like to say good or bad or anything like that, but it's definitely going to keep us on our toes. We have some really lovely transits. I would say more than anything else, we have some more tension-filled transits with our lovely Saturn. Saturn has a really bad reputation because it often brings challenges, restrictions, and limitations. However, Saturn is a really important guide to show us what we need to do to take our long-term goals more seriously. Whatever challenges come your way during this time generally help you get more aligned. Saturn is all about taking responsibility, long-term goals, and creating systems and structure. When it's activated with tension, it showcases where we could be a little bit more organized and serious in terms of owning our needs. If we have been doing the inner work, it's a test to see how well your boundaries and how strong your boundaries are. If you haven't been doing the inner work, well, let's just say you will be after this month. August also marks Mercury Retrograde. Yes, another thing in astrology that has a really bad reputation. Again, with astrology, there's nothing good or bad because we're all doing things in the name of personal growth, hopefully. Mercury Retrograde, yes, it's a time to review, slow down, look at things. The last Mercury retrograde happened in April, so it's a really good time to reflect on the things that you've done since April, especially in terms of things Mercury, which means communications, your thinking patterns and processing, the way you learn, the way you process things. Yes, technology is not as reliable as when Mercury is direct. However, I feel like it always comes with a lesson. So for example, if you have a file that got lost during Mercury retrograde, maybe you didn't need that file, or maybe it's time to start that file from scratch, to start it all over again with a fresh perspective. As we move into the end of the month, the Sun and Venus and more of those inner planets and luminaries move into Virgo, which is beautiful because I think after a somewhat destabilizing month, don't be scared by that word. It's just going to show you what isn't working. We're going to get that Virgo energy, which is really organized, efficient, analytical, to help us figure out how to ground ourselves again and move forward. All right, let's get into the transit. Starting the month off strong is a new moon in Leo, which happens on August 4th. Leo is all things related to creativity, expression, playfulness, leadership qualities, things that show us that we're worthy of the spotlight, we're worthy of people's attention. What is self-expression? Self-expression is how you show your individuality. There's a lot of ways to do this. The most obvious ways I feel like are through art, are through music, are through creating things. Other ways are through fashion, through what you wear, the background on your iPhone, through your handwriting styles, through your body language, through the way you express yourselves. Do you use your hands a lot? Do you have a loud voice? Things like that. Your tattoos. How do you decorate your house? There's lots of different ways that this can be shown. It's basically showing how you show up as an individual and why that's so important for the world to experience. Leo is ruled by the sun, so that gives this new moon a bit of vitality, some individuality, and some confidence. New moons, as always, mark new beginnings. So together, we just might have the energy to start new things that are in more alignment with ourselves. Leo also brings the passion and the enthusiasm. It is a fire sign after all. So we might feel empowered to make something more of our own. The moon itself will be forming a sextile to Jupiter. It's very close, almost at the same time of the new moon. And Jupiter is all about good fortune. It's all about opportunities. It's all about optimism. So I feel like this new moon is empowered by optimism. It's empowered by expansiveness. As for business owners, this new moon in Leo, I think, is a really good time for promoting your business. Just as a lot of other things we're getting with Leo, it's all about promoting, showing why you're awesome, showing why you're a leader in your industry. Even if you're not like a top leader, just show why you're really qualified to be offering these services or products. Moon also means new things, and with it being Leo, I think it's a great time to start a new marketing campaign. Anything that you are starting that's new though, see how you can make it more of your own. So if you're following somebody else's strategy, let's say on social media, how can you make it more of your own? How can you show up as yourself or as your business more to make this strategy yours? Also a really good time to foster creativity, maybe through a brainstorm session, a new class, or just starting a new creative project. And lastly, a new moon in Leo can be a great time to focus on your leadership skills, as anything else in Leo. This transit really boosts your ability to inspire and lead effectively. So try something new, see how it works. On that same day, August 4th, is when Mercury stations retrograde. Now, Mercury is currently in Virgo, so it starts its retrograde in Virgo, and it's there until the 14th. And then on the 14th, it moves back into Leo. So let's just talk about Mercury retrograde in Virgo for a moment. It's, like I mentioned before, it's always a period of slowing down. The Virgo influence on this Mercury retrograde targets our organization, our day-to-day actions, and detail-oriented work. So we may find ourselves getting a bit more analytical during this phase of the Mercury retrograde. However, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so there's some helpful collaboration. Virgo also gives an emphasis on health and wellness, so it's a good time to reflect on how you can be bringing those things into your day-to-day actions. Making more time for doing morning stretches or eating something healthy. I don't know, whatever y'all need to do. Now is a good time to review on how you can make more time and space for that. Be mindful of miscommunications, car troubles, technical issues, as all Mercury retrogrades do bring up. However, what's nice about this is that the Virgo's analytical mind can help kind of get to the root of the problem a little bit faster. Virgo is an earth sign after all. As for business owners, this is a great period for reviewing your operations. Virgo loves efficiency. So anything that you can do to streamline, now's a good time to look at those things and think about it. I wouldn't necessarily start like a new software or, platform that helps you do things. I wouldn't be starting something from scratch, but maybe you review your processes. What are your marketing operations? Is there an email automation that you haven't looked at in a while that's just been kind of running? Now is a good time to look back into those. Workflows, especially like what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? What are you doing on a weekly basis? What are you doing in a routine basis? And are you making enough time for new projects or things that really need your attention? Little side note here, I do have a workflow assessment. So if you are into getting some help on analyzing your workflow, I'll link that down in the description below. On that same day, August 4th, we get Venus moving into the sign of Virgo. Our relationships, finances, and value systems get analytical, detail-oriented, and service-focused. We could feel our values shift towards health and wellness as well. All earth signs give the energy of practicality. Virgo does this, plus adds in a sense of efficiency as well. Virgo loves to look at the little details to figure out how things run better. So for business owners, this is a really lovely time to look at your finances, to look at budgeting, to look at your different income streams. Get analytical, make those spreadsheets, figure out if you want to tighten things up or expand a budget, all those little details, now is a great time. In terms of creating content, people will be more in depth to the details right now. So go in depth about how your business works or why you offer quality products or how you offer quality products and services. Because Venus loves quality. So go into detail about that. If you are a product-based business, I think it's a really good time to kind of evaluate the quality of your product as well. Is there a way that you can work on your manufacturing process to make your product a little bit better? Could it be streamlined so that it's easier for you and you have more to give to your clients or customers? You could also focus on, if you're a service-based business, you could also focus on the delivery. How can you offer more to your clients without burning out, of course? But what could you streamline so that you could have more to offer? On August 14th, Mercury retrogrades back into Leo, where it will stay in Leo until September 8th. Mercury retrograde itself ends on August 28th. Mercury retrograding in Leo gives us a moment to reflect on our creativity, our leadership, our self-expression, and our confidence. Leo is also connected to the heart, so it brings love and it brings passion. So it's a nice time to kind of turn inward and give ourselves a little compassion and empathy, especially in terms of what we're thinking about for our individuality, if that makes sense. So if there's been any parts of us that we've been holding back because we're ashamed or we're embarrassed, now's a good time to just get curious about that. Mercury also forms a conjunction with the Sun on the 18th, and the Sun will still be in Leo, and the Sun rules Leo, so it really just emphasizes this individuality energy. Mercury retrograde in Leo could also bring dramatic conversations, for better or for worse, dramatic expressions and thoughts. So it really depends how this hits your chart personally, but dramatic thought could be like really doomsy, if you will. Like if something goes wrong, you kind of go down a spiral about how nothing's working out, nothing's ever going to work out. Personally, I can get like this quite easily, especially depending on my menstrual cycle, but that's another story. It could also just be, very theatric expressions, very theatric conversations, just kind of being a ham. I can also be that too. Lastly, it's also a really lovely time to be revisiting creative projects. Not necessarily starting new ones, but if you have an unfinished canvas in your closet, or if something is done, but maybe you just want to look at it with a fresh set of eyes. As for business owners, there could be some miscommunication that leads us to review to our leadership and communication strategies. If you have a team, look at what you can do to support them better through your communications. Set the expectations very clearly to minimize any issues. If you work on your own, how are you showing up as a leader in your field? Are there ways that you can lead your community? Are there ways that you can communicate how awesome you are at your job even more? Also, always just prepare for technological and travel issues, people showing up late, people not showing up at all. Oh, I didn't get the text I was supposed to come in. give extra time for car travel, backups on backups on backups. Then on August 14th, we have Mars conjunct Jupiter. Mars symbolizes our motivation, our desires, the way we assert ourselves, and Jupiter represents expansion, growth, optimism, and generosity. And so when these two things come together, for the most part, I would like to hope that it represents opportunities coming your way and having the energy to go forth with them. These two do meet up in the sign of Gemini, which is a very fast-paced, moving sign. It also gives the flavor of curiosity, social interactions, and the mind. So with this burst of energy coming from Gemini, things could happen kind of quickly. I do want to acknowledge that if this energy doesn't have something to be directed into, like a project, or if we're just having a really bad day, Mars can also represent the way we assert ourselves, and with that, it can sometimes turn into aggression. And Jupiter is all about expansion. So there is opportunity for when those two meet, that aggression to just, be expanded in a way that's not so lovely. So just be mindful of that as well. As for business owners, this is a great transit for networking. I think it's a great transit for events and collaborations because I think there's just going to be a lot of energy at these events. Jupiter tends to be a more social planet, and with Mars bringing the energy, I think it could be pretty lively. A well-organized event, that is, not just a chaotic event, which might be a little tricky to do in Gemini season. But if you can put a lot of effort into making sure the show flow is nice and tight, and I think it will be a really lovely event. Gemini loves social activities, so however, Gemini can be a little bit, mind is whirling kind of fast. There could be really expansive conversations at these events, or if you go to a networking event. I think it's also a really good time to launch a business project or a new idea because we have the ambition and the expansive mindset to get things rolling with success. However, I do want to note that since this is a surge of energy that's happening, be mindful of what you're committing to. So, if you're like, I'm going to do this every week now, this amount of work, just be mindful that this could dwindle. And so maybe, great idea for launching and planning, but not necessarily committing to this amount of work for a long term. In come the squares and oppositions to Saturn. So on August 15th, we have Mars square Saturn. Mars represents our drive, our ambition, and it's in tension with Saturn, which represents limitations, restrictions, our need for responsibility and discipline. Both of these planets have more of a malefic reputation, so the fact that they're in a conversation of tension isn't necessarily exciting. It's likely to bring conflicts and frustrations and obstacles. However, those things could push us to make the changes that we really need to make. Squares always do that. They show us what needs to change, which is important for growth and alignment. It can also show us what we have patience for, which can be kind of rewarding sometimes. When you go through a hardship and you make it out on the other end, you're proud of what you can accomplish. Like people who go on Survivor, like obviously, yes, they want to win the $1 million, but also like a lot of them are really proud that they were able to do something really tough on your body, on your mind. And I don't have a third thing to say. So when things get tough, just ground yourself in knowing that these are tests and they can tell you a lot about where you are right now. Also, interactions with authority figures can be a little heated, and non-authority figures as well. People may come off as a bit critical or pessimistic, or you may just be taking it that way. It's just, not so lovely. As for business owners, my advice to you is to be patient. If you have a team, don't be the one to stir shit up. Assume everyone is going to be a little bit or very prickly, and see what you can do as a leader to soften things up just a little bit. Prepare for disruptions because it's also happening with Mercury Retrograde, and use them as an opportunity to grow. It's easy to get into a state of overwhelm with this transit, so break things down into achievable tasks. Get really realistic, maybe have a more simple day if you can. Be proud of what you can accomplish during this time. Meet yourself where you're at. Next up, on August 19th, we have Jupiter square Saturn. Yes, this is an outer planet transit. With Jupiter transits and aspects, we normally feel them for about 2 to 3 weeks. I would say a week and a half on each side of the transit being exact. So yeah, this is going to flavor a majority of August. Jupiter square Saturn is all about expansion and limitations. They're kind of opposite in that sense. However, they're both working towards growth. Saturn is more just like, let me show you how you need to grow the hard way, while Jupiter is a bit more flowy. Together with a square, there's going to be growth, but it's going to be slow growth and it's going to take work. It's not going to be effortless flow, which isn't a bad thing. I know there's a lot of talk in the spiritual world about how things should flow to you if you're in alignment and all that. I don't think that's true at all. That's not what astrology shows. There's challenges, and those challenges help us grow. What's also great about slow growth is, and this is what my lovely friend and collaborator told me, she channeled a message from nature, and this beautiful tree told her that humans can appreciate slowness because when we let things happen slowly, all the energies can kind of come together and marinate a little bit, like a nice, warm, spicy chili. The tree didn't say that part, I added the chili part. Slowness is not bad. I know in this capitalistic world, we want it here, we want it now, but I think we are moving away from that and moving into slowness. This transit could bring opportunities, but these opportunities might bring some sort of constraint or limitations. So really think through these opportunities and ask yourself if they're in alignment. They might need some adjustment or take some compromise in order to make it right. As for business owners, I would use this transit and really the latter half of August to focus on strategic planning. And with it also happening during Mercury retrograde, it's about revisiting your strategic planning. So look at your goals with a fresh set of eyes if you haven't done so in a while, especially. Do they still align with what you're able to do now? Are they realistic? Do they still make sense? Do you have other goals that you want to add into that? Review. You might need to make some big changes that are kind of annoying. However, you know deep down that once you do them, that things are going to be more in alignment and just better overall. So this is a month to do that, going back, making those changes. Maybe not launching those changes, but doing all the background annoying stuff. On that same freaking day, August 19th, Venus forms in opposition to Saturn. So any restrictions we're feeling towards our expansion, we're now going to feel it towards our relationships, our finances, and our self-worth. This is like a push-pull between our desire for harmony and taking responsibility for our needs. It means we may need to kind of stir up the pot a little bit, but only in the name of being responsible, being disciplined, setting boundaries. It can also be a heavier transit with Venus being tied to our self-worth and Saturn being a little bit heavier, a little bit more downer. We could be feeling a bit lonely, isolated, hints of depression, bigger than hints of depression if you're already depression prone. So just be aware of that and make the day a little bit easier for yourself, especially that it sits on top of the Jupiter square Saturn transit. As for business owners, I bring this transit up because it has potential to bring up some financial strains, which is obviously really important for business owners. And with that, it can tie to our self-worth and our success and all those defining things of what success is. So just know, like everything in astrology, this is part of a cycle. And please don't tie your self-worth to your income. Are there parts of your business that you love to do for the sake of you, that because you love to do it? If not, now's a good time to review that kind of stuff. And how can you make it something that you love to show up for every single day? So that when the income isn't there, you're still really motivated to show up. Especially with all the Mercury retrograde and the Leo energy, it's a good time to review that kind of stuff in your worthiness outside of your income. As if that day wasn't enough, on the 19th, we also have a full moon in Aquarius. Full moons always bring full emotions. So, you know what? This could just be a really bummy day, and that's fine. Let it be a bummy day and know that it's going to get better. It's going to pass. Now, Aquarius, funnily enough, is ruled by Saturn. In traditional astrology, in modern astrology, it's ruled by Uranus. But let's keep it traditional. Now, I bring this up because it just really ties in all the Saturn energy that's happening on this day. So again, it could just be a heavy day. Aquarius is all about innovation, individuality, and humanity, but I also want to say community. Full moons bring a moment of celebration as well as a moment of release. This full moon is about celebrating and releasing things related to humanity, community, and innovation. Aquarius also brings a sense of detachment, which is where the connection to innovation comes in, because I'm sure we've all heard the term healthy detachment, which honestly, there's a nice balance. It's important to be detached so that you can look at things objectively. Not everything needs to be looked at objectively, but some things do, so that you can think of a fresh idea, remove your personal experience and emotions to it so that you can think of a solution. This full moon could illuminate innovative strategies or solutions to stagnant ideas, especially those around, community and taking care of one another in more of a group setting. There's a letting go of outdated beliefs, especially and hopefully for the collective. I do think that there's some clarity that will come with this full moon, or maybe a few days after it once these other harsh transits kind of pass. But I do think it's like a push to move forward. As for business owners, if you're feeling up to it, I feel like it's a lovely time to collaborate. Get together with other business owners and learn from each other. Also, a good time to get in touch with your community, to get real with your community. Maybe it's as simple as making a poll on social media. Maybe you're going live on social media. Maybe you're going to a pop-up event. Then on August 22nd, the sun moves into Virgo. Happy birthday to all the Virgo suns out there. The sun will be in Virgo until September 22nd. As a Pisces, I personally love Virgo energy. On the opposite side of Pisces, Pisces is up in the air, it's up in a different reality, it's up in a fantasy. And Virgo is very grounded. It's an earth sign. It's here and it's very organized. I have my Jupiter in organized, so I feel like I grow and expand through organization. That's literally exactly what my business is, expansive consulting, helping small business owners get organized. Anyways, Virgo season is a sense of getting back into your daily routines. It makes sense to me that certain school schedules go back to school in August. It's about, summer was fun, however, it's starting to get back into the daily routine. Virgo is all about organization, efficiency, daily routines, details, health and wellness, as I've mentioned before. Virgo is an earth sign, so yes, we're getting grounded, but it's also the mutable earth sign, so it's very adaptable. We are ready to make those changes that are necessary to get grounded, which is really wonderful, especially after all the Saturn shenanigans that we just experienced. I think this will continue to okay, I see what I need to do to move forward. I see what wasn't working for me before, and now I'm ready to move forward in my day-to-day actions of what I need to do for me, for my business, for my family, for XYZ. I will say there is a tendency towards perfection with Virgo energy. So if that's something that you struggle with, it may be heightened during this time. So just be super aware of that. Leave yourself a little post-it note, reminding yourself things don't need to be perfect. Half-ass is better than not at all. I have a few tips on my Instagram about how to work past perfectionism. As for business owners, it's a great time to get analytical about how you're showing up in your business, because the sun does represent the self, the individual, your identity. So how are you bringing that into your business? Even if your face isn't in your business, it's still an extension of who you are as a small business owner. So how does your business represent that? Also, a really good time to focus on your day-to-day actions. As I mentioned before, your workflow. What are you doing on a daily basis? Is it draining you? And what can you do to make it flow a little bit better? Then at the end of the month, on August 29th, we have Venus moving into Libra. This will be in Libra until September 22nd. Venus rules Libra, so she's extra happy here. She's extra comfy here. And what that means is just both Libra and Venus energies get exemplified. So yes, that means all things beauty, all things harmony, all things high quality and luxurious. It's a great time for beauty and art businesses to thrive, especially as we continue into September, because a lot more of the inner planets will move into Libra. There is a focus towards relationships and social connections. If you have a rocky relationship right now, this could give the energy that is needed to smooth it out. There's a lot of mutual understanding that happens with Venus in Libra. Also a lovely time just to get social. I love that it's like peak wedding season. I feel like the weddings that happen with Venus and Libra are really fun and just lovely. Connections just might be easeful. Is that a word? As for business owners, this is a great time to enhance your professional relationships. Whether that's with your clients or your collaborators, just remind them that you really appreciate them in whatever way that looks like for your business. Maybe you're sending a little gift. Maybe you're sending a little discount. Maybe you're sending a free resource. Also, a great time to focus on aesthetics in your business. So maybe that means working on your branding a little bit, or doing a rebrand, or just changing your social media strategy a little bit, like what your feed looks like. It's also a fantastic time for a photo shoot because you're going to be feeling fly. Now for this new segment, I'm going to talk about the yummy, spicy, and dynamic days. I'm not going to go into that much detail about every single transit here, but I'm just going to give you like a one-sentence overview of each transit. Again, if you want more in detail, head to my Instagram or TikTok, and every Monday I'll have like a bunch of information on each transit. Let's start with the yummy days. So these are days that have supportive transits. They don't always bring growth, because sometimes we need challenges to grow, but they could bring some welcomed ease. Please note that we do feel transits for more than one day, so it's not going to be perfect. If there's more of a spicy day that happens right after a yummy day, just note that we may be feeling the impact of both of those on either day as well. It's more just the day that it's exact. It's not going to be perfect. I'm just trying to give you a little bit more to plan with here. The first day is August 1st, and we have a Sun trine the North Node, which brings opportunities for personal growth and alignment. Then we have August 3rd, and we have Mars sextile the North Node, which is taking actions towards your personal growth and bigger goals. Then on August 7th, we have the Sun sextile to Jupiter, which is super expansive and brings a sense of optimism and confidence that makes great for expanding your horizons on new opportunities. On that same day, on August 7th, we have Mercury conjunct Venus, which is a great time for creative writing, harmonious conversations, and other social interactions. On August 3rd, we have Mercury sextile to Mars, which gives you a mental boost. You have quick thinking, motivation, and a good intent for focus. On August 27th, we have Venus trine Uranus, which could bring some unexpected changes and exciting pleasures in relationship and finances. There's potential for some unexpected financial gains. On August 28th, we have Venus trine Pluto, which brings intensity and passion into your creative projects and your relationships. All right, let's get into the spicy days. So these are days that could bring a little bit more tension. They might not be as easeful, however, they're equally as important, if not more important, to your alignment and your growth and your journey here on motherfucking Earth. They might be a little bit more challenging, but it brings about a need for change and balance. So first off, we have August 2nd, which is Venus square Uranus. This is going to bring not so welcome changes and restlessness in relationships and finances and self-worth. Then on August 15th, we have Mars square Saturn, which I've already talked about before, which will bring conflict between your ambitions and limitations, which can lead to feelings of restriction, burnout, and just exhaustion. Then on August 19th, which I spoke about before as well, we have Venus opposite Saturn, which can bring issues and restrictions in relationships, self-worth, and finances. On that same day, we have the Sun square Uranus, which can bring sudden changes, restlessness, and disruption when it comes to your identity and self-expression. Then on that same day, we have Jupiter opposite Saturn, which I talked about before, which is finding balance between growth and stability. Then we have the full moon in Aquarius, which isn't necessarily a spicy transit. However, it's definitely an emotionally packed transit. And with all these other aspects happening on the same day, it just could be a supercharged full moon. On August 22nd is Venus square Mars, which brings some tension between our relationships, our finances, our self-worth, and the way we assert ourselves, our drives, and our ambition. I could imagine some obstacles in your relationships, creative projects, and finances. Lastly, we have August 28th, which is Venus opposite Neptune. The relationship to others and yourself and finances may be clouded with some unrealistic expectations and deceptive influences. The last section is dynamic days, which has a mix of both yummy and spicy transits. The only dynamic day that I have for August is August 18th. We have the Sun conjunct Mercury, which tends to be lovely. It's also known as a Mercury cazimi, which can give mental clarity and a boost in communication skills. However, that is paired with Mercury square to Uranus, which can bring some tension. And that is some disruption in communications and your thinking patterns and short-term travel, which during Mercury Retrograde is already likely to happen. So on this day, it could really bring a lot of disruption towards communication and travel. However, with the Sun conjunct Mercury, I would like to think that we have the agility to adjust quickly. So that's a wrap up of everything happening in August that is important for business owners to know. If you want this delivered to your inbox every single month so you don't have to check YouTube if I've uploaded it, then make sure you subscribe to my newsletter where you'll get the link to this video as well as a link to the blog. So if you want to read it while you're watching the video, everything is there, or quickly come back to it throughout the month. Please do all the things, help me grow. I'm just starting this channel out and I feel like it has a lot of potential. So please like this video, comment your sun sign below. If you know what house Leo and Virgo rules for you, let me know below so that we can talk about what things are going to happen for you this month. And please subscribe. Share this with a friend. Do the things that help small businesses grow because I am going to do that for you. All right, babies, I love you so much and I'll see you next month.